Hey guys, welcome back to Social Media What, where we break down the what, the so what, and the now what of all things social. This week, we're going to be breaking down a term coined by one of my favorite social media guys. Recently, I happened to win a copy of his new book, Jab, 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 Right Hook. Highly recommend it. Man knows his stuff. So with that in mind, this week's what is social jabs. Now, in boxing, a jab is the quickest way to reach your opponent. It's a short shot that's on target and it reinforces your position. Now for brands on social media, the same theory applies. You're going to be using short shots consisting of valuable content to reinforce your position with your users. So what does this mean for us? So this means whether we're a boxer or a brand, we need to be particular about how we interact. This means that we can't try to sell with every post that we have. We have to make sure that we're throwing jabs, which consist of high value content specific to our users. We can't be trying to sell with everything that we do. Think Mike Tyson. He tries to knock you out with every shot. And if we try and sell with every post that we make, one, we're going to wear ourselves out pretty quick. And two, nobody's going to want to play with us anymore. So now what do? Now, we have to go back and define who this guy is. He's our target user and he's the most important piece of the puzzle. So let's take the student housing angle and start to define who your target user is. So for student housing, we're looking at college students. They're taking anywhere from 9 to 18 hours of class per week. They're anywhere from 18 to 24 years old. They can be found at the local hotspots in your market. Their weekend starts on Thursday and ends late Monday night. They probably drink too much soda. Now this is just the beginning of how detailed you can get in defining who your target user is. The more refined your user profile is, the easier it's going to be for you to curate or create content specifically for that audience. It's very important to note that you need to be able to establish a connection between your content, your high-value content, and your brand. And if you can't find a connection in there, it's best to stay away from that content. Now, let's take that user profile that we just created and start nailing down specific types of content that coincide with those characteristics. Now for that user profile that we just created, what are some content topics that we can focus on? These are broke college students who live for the weekend. Let's show them how they can throw a great tailgate party, where they can save money around town, where they can find good specials to go out to eat or to have a drink. These are all things that apply to the lifestyle of our user. These are all things that you can see when you create that profile. Now, it's important to note that these lists should never ever be finished. These should be living, breathing things. Times can and always will change, and your users are going to change with them. So the more up-to-date your list is, the easier it's going to be for you to adapt to those changes when the time comes. So by now, you have your user profile, and you've got your ever-evolving list of content sources. You're ready to throw some jabs. Now keep in mind, these jabs are used to reinforce your position as a source of high-value content to your specific users. Now, like I said, you should always be throwing far more social jabs than you should knockout punches. You don't want to be selling every time you put something up on social media. And the better, more in-depth your user profile is, the more content sources you're going to have at your disposal, i.e. the more jabs you're going to be able to throw. So be sure that you start with that user profile and make it as in-depth as possible. So now that we've got all that laid out, let's quickly go back over the keys to throwing effective social jabs. 1. Create your target user profile. You need to know exactly who your target audience is. 2. Create content lists that coincide with your user profile. And 3. Throw far more social jabs than you do knockout punches. That about wraps up this week's Social Media What. A big shout out to Gary Vaynerchuk. Thanks for the book and for the content. Hopefully I did it justice. I'll include a link to his profiles in the description below. As always, my name is Mike. These are my post-it notes, and I'll see y'all next time.